Hello once again, this is Greg, and doing the final video for the 5 things I've learned about English language learners. And so I'm going to go through them one at a time, and we'll start with number one. Number one, gaps in vocabulary acquisition should not be mistaken for limited cognitive abilities. In Barrow's article on math and academic language, she states, gaps in vocabulary acquisition should not be mistaken for limited cognitive abilities. Unfortunately, this is the stereotype English speakers give to English language learners in this country. It is amazing that this same person is respected if the English speaker travels to a foreign country. Even in the courts, my wife has encountered many a Guatemalan who has been taken for mentally disturbed because they were unable to get the person to speak in Spanish or English. If that Guatemalan has only a third grade education in their own language, being one of the 22 Mayan languages spoken in Guatemala, you probably are not going to get very far in rural America, where Spanish and English can even be a struggle to understand for those who are born here. Thus, we come to lesson number 2. Strategies used to help English language learners will help all students, as all students are academic English language learners. Barrow continued to state strategies used to help English language learners will help all students, as all students are academic English language learners. This is especially true in mathematics, where normal English terms are given unique meanings. So as we teach vocabulary, we as teachers should teach in a manner that assumes nothing on the part of the student. This approach will remind us to scaffold according to the needs of our students as we get to know them. Unfortunately, in subjects like geometry and calculus, vocabulary is quite heavy from day one before you even get a chance to meet all your students. I like the continued emphasis Barrow places on journals to give students a place to record the connections as they happen, and thus give them the opportunity to really solidify the English language they are learning, as well as the mathematics that they are learning. Number 3, teachers can still learn from English language learners to gain greater understanding of different cultures. This lesson comes as an observation from our class discussion, where it was mentioned that the teacher could get involved with the student by perhaps learning a few words from their language and make a personal connection. If the language is not a typical one taught in schools, the students may be interested as well. Thus, a teacher can be an instrument in giving a student a way to connect with their peers. This allows for group work to become more meaningful as relationships encourage helping one another. Thus, the more the English language learner gets involved in the class, the better. Number 4, teachers should view language as a resource, not a deficiency. Moshkovich states, teachers should view language as a resource, not a deficiency. English language learners tend to say and write things in a very different yet direct manner. This is wonderful for mathematics as it eliminates a lot of the fluff other students may add to make it appear that they know more. Clear and precise language allows for understanding by all by eliminating confusing or irrelevant text. In my studies of my wife's language, I have learned that sometimes one word really does say it all. For Quiche, that word is uts. It simply means good. English literates love to embellish their writing by coming up with thousands of synonyms. but sometimes the meaning is still just good. On the other hand, quiche has a lot of ways to say stinky. There is not a single translation. One must say what kind of stink it is. It is more like a skunk, a wet dog, or a moldy smell. Interesting that we have the English to cover their words. The basis of their language is to paint the picture. Kind of hard to paint good. So it stays simple. But if they can pull in words from their surroundings to paint the picture, be prepared for a long story. Oh, by the way, there is no word for yes or no. More story is required. Is it no wonder that minds were excellent in math and science in their own way? They can be very accurate and very clear in their meanings, although the precision may be lacking. Finally, teachers need to push academic achievement, not just learning English. Mashkevitz also stated that teachers need to push academic achievement for English language learners by maintaining high cognitive demand, not just learning English. It is always easy to put a student in an English class for English language learners and ignore the rest of the curricula they need to learn. This requires getting to know where the students are. This can be difficult if they learned math using different symbols. For example, I never did understand how Brazilians did mathematics, but it is nowhere near how I learned. I am sure this is true for many other cultures. Therefore, we may just need more translation and less instruction, which will allow the student to continue from where they left off. This is why teachers need to focus on higher cognitive learning by explanation and justification in math, and not just rote memorization of symbols. We need to continue to push for application of knowledge in real-world scenarios so that students can cement that learning and be able to use the knowledge long after they have left the classroom. These 5 lessons I learned really help to give words to what I have observed over the years with being married to an English language learner and teaching Portuguese language learners. I enjoyed the opportunities I have had to learn about cultures and languages thus far and look forward to learning even more. Apparently the next language to hit our house is going to be Mandarin. The exploration has already begun.